Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:06 on this Monday morning in your nation's capital. Thanks for tuning into O'Connor and Company. It means a lot to us. Coming up in 30 minutes, we're going to talk to Adam Guillette. Now, he runs Accuracy in Media, and he had a harrowing experience, people swatting him. We'll get all the details of that coming up in 30 minutes. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Good to see you, friend. You know, if you're a member of the greatest generation ever, Generation X,
yes,
this song is probably a little triggering to you. Just that it soothes you, it puts you in a place of comfort and knowledge and recognition, but also you might cringe a little bit. It's like, oh, sure. We love Friends, but in retrospect, you know, there's some pitfalls there. But one great thing about Friends, at least for those main six characters, and then eventually when it extrapolated out and added more supporting players, is that every person, I think, in our generation can really, really identify with one of those people.
They have become archetypes. Like,
yes.
Oh, are you a Phoebe?
Right.
You called me a Phoebe, and I got really...
One time
you and
I
Patrice
did. Yeah.
were talking about what you were. You both agreed I was Phoebe.
Well, you're also very Monica. You are definitely a Monica.
Well, thank you. I'm a little bit. Yes, and you can be like a little bit of one.
A little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm a little bit of a Ross, but I'm mostly a Chandler.
Mostly a Chandler.
I'm 100% a Chandler. Well, not 100%, but very much a Chandler.
Yes.
Everybody's a different character, but I definitely identify with Chandler, and that's why I was incredibly sad to learn that the actor who brought life to Chandler Bing, Matthew Perry, died this weekend at the age of 54. Now, he's
54, wow.
54. He's been very open about his struggles with addiction, alcohol, and then prescription pills.
Absolutely brutal battles with addiction.
Yes. If you go
for
back,
decades.
We used to sort of joke about, chubby Chandler, skinny Chandler.
Yeah.
If you go back and look,
Yeah.
and I do think, if you look at a lot of people who have addiction problems in Hollywood, there's a lot of reasons for it, but one of them has to do with weight loss. When you see it, Judy Garland had to deal with this her entire career, because you see yourself on television or in the films, you always think that you're chubbier than you really are. And I wonder if, like, appetite resistance or whatever was back in the dark ages of that kind of thing with amphetamines and really highly addictive drugs may have contributed to this as well. Or maybe he was just a really rich guy who decided he wanted to get high a lot. But you see skinny Chandler, chubby Chandler, and skinny Chandler. If you watch the show, sometimes he's has trouble speaking his lines because he seems like he's on something.
Yeah. It really is sad. I mean, he had several surgeries related to his addiction. He blew a hole in his colon, apparently, and had stomach problems. And so, look, there's a lot of, this, again, he went to rehab something like 17, 18 times. Multiple times, desperately trying to recover from these addictions. So it's a very sad story. And then to find out he apparently was found lifeless in his hot tub.
Yeah. Well, I believe it was at a friend's house in a hot tub.
It wasn't at his house?
I don't believe it was at his house.
I think it was his house.
Okay. You've got both sides of that story now.
You're right.
Confirm
now
that.
I'm reading this as a hot tub at a house.
Yeah. At one low point, Matthew Perry said he was taking 55 Vicodin a day, weighed 128 pounds, 15 stints in rehab, 14 surgeries for addiction-related issues. Now, as of now, there's no foul play said, and there's no drugs were found on the scene. They're going to do a toxicology exam, but I think it's fair to say that his body has been through so much that he didn't actually have to be on anything to have. I mean, you mentioned a hot tub. There are health risks when you're in a hot tub.
I think with high blood pressure or some sort of heart issues, you've got to be cautious in a hot tub.
You do, especially a lengthy time.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Matthew Perry just a couple days ago had put on Instagram a picture of him. He posted a picture of him sitting in his hot tub. I think he spent a lot of time in his hot tub.
Boy.
They found him at 4 p.m. He was found unresponsive.
Well, what's interesting here is that he appeared to have died due to drowning, which doesn't suggest his body shut down or he had an internal problem in his body. It was that for some reason he was rendered unconscious.
Right, so it could be a heart attack or a stroke or something.
Things, yeah. That the heart attack didn't kill him, but the subsequent drowning may have after he was
similar to Whitney
rendered.
Houston. She drowned in a tub, and it was she was obviously doing drugs and passed out and then drowned due to that. So, drowning was secondary, obviously, to something that made him incapacitated and unable to get out of the water. So.
We'll get the details of it, but of course all of his castmates have expressed their grief and horror at this story, and I think a lot of the fans who loved the show.
Well, yeah.
Despite it's so a little walk down memory lane. Friends was very cutting edge when it had to do with progressive issues. You'll remember that there was a lesbian marriage performed, and this was just a nasty, jerky thing to do. Who do you cast to be the Reverend performing the gay marriage? Newt Gingrich's lesbian sister, who's not an actress, by the way.
Oh, wow,
but they wanted to send a political message in the 90s. And then it turns out that Chandler's dad was actually a transgender
That's right.
woman, who is played by Morgan Fairchild, which was, or no, wait. His mother was played by Morgan Fairchild.
Yes.
The transgender was played by Kathleen Turner.
Oh, God, that's right.
Who presented very genuinely as a man pretending to be a woman.
Thyroid issues. That'll get it.
Someone taken her order yet?
Oh, yeah, she did. He did. She? I'm sorry, I'm new. I don't...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just ordered a beer. You're straight, I get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the incomparable Helena Handbasket.
Hello, darlings.
And there's Daddy.
Yeah, his dad was a drag queen.
Yeah, and that's when it was just adults doing it. Yeah.
Right, yes. And Chandler Bing's character was permitted to be ashamed of it and say, you wonder why I'm a basket case? Look at how I was raised, right? So let's turn to some of the more humorous moments of Chandler Bing's life. One will never forget when Ross, David Schwimmer, was moving a sofa up the stairs of the apartment. And, of course, you don't hire movers. You get your friends to.
Right.
This is why everyone related to this show.
Yes.
Because they created scenarios that we all have had to deal with our friends.
All you had to provide was beer and pizza.
Yes.
And
come on over and help me move.
Come over.
Yeah.
Yes. I did this dozens of times. I'm embarrassed, but yes.
And so Ross was in charge of directing everyone as they moved the sofa. And Chandler had had enough.
I don't think we can turn it anymore. Pivot. 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 Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
I love it. Okay. Here we go.
I think that the cast all broke up too because it was just such a funny moment. But who among us after that? These
I will tell you,
moments.
I use that "shut up" on Twitter all the time.
Oh, is that
GIF?
So when you do that, it's you use the GIF of him.
The GIF of him.
It. Okay, because you also say "shut up" a lot to me in real life. Now I'll always hear Matthew Perry's voice. Yeah, and I do it all the time when we're moving furniture around the house. Pivot. It's sad to see him go, but I mean, here's the beauty of being an actor, I guess, is that we will always have great moments that he made us laugh, and we'll remember Matthew Perry when he was entertaining us. And that's despite all of his own demons. And it's another reminder, a lot of times you see these Hollywood actors and you think they've got a great life and it's a wonderful thing. And they're often very, very tortured individuals.
Yes. He's finally at peace.
It is
Cool content from your favorite WMAL shows. Download the new WMAL app today.
Well, speaking of moments on television that make us laugh, Kamala Harris was on 60 Minutes yesterday. And she's just a treasure trove. I honestly, how many more reboots does this woman get?
I know.
The relaunch of Kamala Harris. It's Kamala Harris, 10.0 at this point. But they're insisting that Kamala Harris is the way to go. So here's Kamala Harris with a very simple question. You say you've done a great job, so why are you so unpopular?
Found that at the beginning of President Biden's term, 70% of young people under 30, said he was doing a good job. Now it's less than 50%. Why is that? What's going on?
If you poll how young people feel about the climate and the warming of our planet, it polls as one of their top concerns. When we talk about what we are doing with student loan debt, polls very high. The challenge that we have as an administration is we got to let people know who brung it to them. That's our challenge. But it is not that the work we are doing is not very, very popular with a lot of people.
So, first of all, a couple of things. You very rarely see a politician this blatantly transparent,
right?
Saying, "Well, I mean, we're picking the things that will pander to them and get their votes.
We're trying,
right? Exactly." Right. And we just need. But I love the laugh. We got to remind people who brung them.
Yeah, great grammar.
Please do that. Please put Kamala out there, reminding everybody that she's done all of these wonderful things. That's a great strategy. Do it.
Yeah. She is so incredibly annoying to listen to. I mean, you can take it could be like Charlie Brown's teacher, blah, 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 right? You don't even hear her words, but her mannerisms, her smug face, her fake laughter. Don't forget, they had to hire actors,
yes,
child actors, to film something about space and NASA.
Yeah,
this is the level.
They hired actors to pretend they liked her.
Yes, exactly. So and these are children. Children like people,
especially talking about rockets.
Yes.
No, you had to get paid to pretend
I agree.
like you like.
Put her out there. Get her out there.
In fact, she even doubled down on that. By the way, the reporter, again, 60 Minutes.
I know.
It's like if I'm asking the questions,
it's a gift. Right.
I'm not asking questions in the context of the polls say you're not popular. Why is that? Because, I mean, the policies are so good and you've done such a great job. Why don't people like you more?
We don't get it.
That's not the question. The question is people are hurting because of the decisions you've made.
Yes. Yes.
Why did you do this to them? That's the question.
Yes.
So here's the latest. Gosh, why aren't you?
Do you have to ask yourself, why are people seeming not to hear our message?
Not to hear.
Yeah.
Not to hear.
People just aren't hearing you.
Yes.
It's the hostile press, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. When is 60 Minutes going to file an in-kind contribution to this campaign?
Here's her answer, which gives me hope.
I look at it more as let's keep getting out there.
Yes.
And as with any election, we got to make our case to the American people.
Yeah, get out there, baby. Do it more. Do it. Because you didn't in 2020. You hid. You hid in the basement. So please, let's get out there. And then there was this moment, and this is getting a lot of attention, where, again, the reporter is saying, listen, you're the heir apparent. You're a historic figure. You're the vice president. So how come when people say maybe Joe Biden won't run, they start talking about all these other people and not you?
So funny.
Just some Democratic donors. And they have told us that should something befall President Biden and he is not able to run, that there would be a free-for-all for who would run as president. You are in the spot that would be unnatural for you to step up, but we're hearing from donors that they would not naturally fall into line. Why is that?
Well,
why is
first of all, I'm not going to engage in that hypothetical because Joe Biden is very much alive and running for re-election. So.
He's alive.
Why did she say it that way? No one said he's dead and you're doing a weekend at Bernie's, although it is plausible. But isn't that a weird thing to say?
He's very much alive.
Joe Biden's alive. And that's the thing. It's like people are saying if something were to happen to Joe Biden, that, who would replace him? And the response is, he's not dead.
He's not.
I don't care what you've heard.
As long as he draws breath, even if he's on a gurney.
Even if we... That is the weirdest answer. Who told you he was dead? Because it's not true. It's not true at all. Seriously?
But you do know. I mean, that is a concern and a legitimate concern, I would say.
I hear from a lot of different people a lot of different things. But let me just tell you, I'm focused on the job.
Yeah, sure she is.
I hear from a lot of people a lot of different things. You got to love the word salad. Yeah. Kamala always gets in there. It takes up space.
8:22. All right, it's 8:28 here. And do we have one more Kamala? Sure, one more Kamala, because we love Kamala. Asked about the border, because, she's the border czar.
Most Americans say that they don't think you're doing a good job on the border.
Again, every question is shot through the prism of, well, the polls say. What about you? Right. Objectively speaking, the border's a disaster, but he can't go there, can he?
And the administration. The number of people trying to cross the U.S. southern border is at an all-time high.
It's no secret that we have a broken immigration system.
Oh.
Short term, we need a safe, orderly, and humane border policy. And long term, we need to invest in the root causes of migration.
I thought that was her job.
The bottom
You've been
line,
in office.
Congress needs to act.
It's Congress's fault. We have the exact same system we had under Trump. So what's broken about it now? The difference is they're not enforcing the law. It's that simple.
And if we do have a broken system, as she says, maybe you should spend some time on the border. Maybe you should talk to people about it. She's not interested in the border.
829.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
New now
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:36. It's O'Connor and Company here on a Monday morning. Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Hey, Julie, guess what happens in 30 minutes?
Tell me.
Chris Plant is going to do the Chris Plant show right here in this studio where we sit.
And we'll be listening.
Isn't that amazing? Well, sure, I guess.
I'll be listening.
No, I'll definitely check in here and there to see if he talks about me. Joining us right now, Adam Guillette. He's the president of Accuracy in Media. And you'll remember we talked to Adam a couple of weeks ago because he had this mobile billboard basically revealing truth. Everybody,
That's right.
Public information.
That's right.
The names and photographs of the students at Harvard.
Public service.
Who signed on to the pro-Hamas terrorist letter condemning Israel and taking the side of the bad guys. And Adam, well, apparently after you appeared on WMAL, you get a lot of attention, and then I guess all the wrong people sort of retaliated. Tell us, first of all, you okay? And is your family okay?
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you for asking. We're fine. And I would say it's more fun to come on your show and talk about the end of federal mask mandates than to talk about having been swatted twice over the weekend. The first incident, early Friday morning, law enforcement got a phone call that I had a gun to my wife's head. And they were dispatched, as they have to, with rifles and everything, and went into my home and to try to lock down the scene to make sure everything was okay. And then a similar incident happened yesterday afternoon. It's a great reminder of the horrible type of people that we're dealing with. We're exposing the names of Hamas supporters at Harvard, and their response is to try to get me killed with death by cop. These are wild times.
Adam, it is so terrifying, and I am so sorry that you're dealing with this, but are the police investigating who made these calls?
Not to my knowledge. From everything I've understood, talking to people who've experienced things like this previously, they don't really do that. It's kind of up to you to do it. So we're working with our legal team to trace back to it and see if we can figure out who's responsible for it. And we're also doubling down our efforts so that people realize there's no sense in using these tactics. They won't work. They'll only strengthen our resolve.
Are the police being cooperative? Are they helping you get the information you need so you can trace this back?
Well, it's funny. The team that responded to the incident on Thursday night, early Friday morning was off for the weekend. They'll be back tonight. So only tonight do I actually get to talk to them and get some of the details. But our attorneys are definitely looking into it. Our local police department is being very cooperative in terms of, they got information from us so that decreases the chance that if they show up, they would accidentally kill us. And, when the second incident happened yesterday afternoon, they reached me over the phone quite quickly and, asked my permission to go in and check the home if that was okay with me. And I said, sure. So, they're certainly being, friendly and helpful and easy to deal with. But it's a challenging thing. And obviously, all you want to do is have those perpetrators get captured and locked up for a long time.
It's also pretty terrifying because, listen, because of the laws in this country, if you purchase a home, it's in your name, and that's a public record. People can find where people live if they purchase it in their name, and obviously they do horrible things like this. Is there any indication as to who? Because I know I'm sure you've gotten horrible emails and direct messages on social media. Do you have a hunch as to who might have done this?
No. Since we've started this campaign a couple weeks ago, and as expected, it's been just nonstop threatening emails and phone calls and social media posts to me, Frustrating is that it extended to my parents, my wife, and one of my staffers as well. That's the frustrating part of it, because they didn't all sign on to the sort of activism that we're doing necessarily. So it's unfair for them to deal with some of the repercussions associated with it. But I am very fortunate in that they're all being incredibly supportive. My wife is incredibly supportive, and our staff is more fired up than ever to put frowns on the faces of these Hamas-loving lowlives.
Well, that was my next question. Is this in any way, I think I already know the answer, is this in any way going to have you second guess or rethink your strategy with this truck, because they're still out there? I have not met or seen one person publicly, and I would welcome it. I'd love to have them on the show, who said, listen, I was part of this organization. I had no idea. I didn't realize what I was signing, and I made a mistake. They're wrong. They're horrible, and I support Israel 100%. I haven't seen anybody repent like that. Although there are plenty of apologists on their behalf saying, they just made a stupid mistake. Well, I haven't heard them say they made a stupid mistake, Adam.
Actually, 10 of the 30 organizations that signed the Harvard Proclamation, 10 have since recanted their statement. Separate from that, individual members or leaders of these organizations hit us up like crazy saying, I apologize, I posted publicly that I'm no longer on their side and I quit the organization, da-da-da-da-da. Please take me off your website. Please take me off your billboard. Please update my domain name. And we've been doing that furiously.
That's great.
It's a wild moving target because every day we're adding new names, but also every day we're taking names down.
That's great, and I think that is important. What can I just ask? Back to the doxing. How is your family doing? How is your wife doing? This has to be frightening.
Sure, she's doing about as well as one would expect in a situation like this. It's upsetting. We can't go home. We were able to briefly pop in yesterday to gather some of our things, but it's not safe to stay in our own home. That's disconcerting to anybody at any time. So that's, not necessarily what you sign up for when your husband works for a political nonprofit organization. But again, I'm just so incredibly fortunate to have someone who's exceptionally supportive of my work. And, all of her ire is directed at the appropriate people, the lowlifes responsible for this.
Well, great stuff, Adam Guillette, Accuracy in Media. And we appreciate you doing what you do to make sure that we speak truth to power. Out there. We know who really does have the power here, and you are speaking truth to them. And I look forward to more great work from Accuracy in Media, specifically exposing all the equivocation and excuses that we're hearing in the media as well. I mean, college campus is one thing, and that's horrible, but you've got paid professionals sitting behind plexiglass desks reading teleprompters who are horrific in terms of the way they are both sidesing this story. It's a pretty simple thing in terms of who's in the right and who's in the wrong. And
you are in the right. Thank you, Adam, for doing that.
Thank you so very much. And it's so funny to be interviewed, by CNN about stuff like this, with them aggressively questioning me for about 25 minutes before not using any of my quotes because they didn't fit their narrative. And it's like, okay, that's about what I'd expect from the network that handled that hospital situation the way they handled it.
Right. Exactly. Thanks, Adam. Great stuff.
Thank you for having me.
It is 8:44 now. It's been a while since we talked about David French on this program. Remember the conservative Christian commentator who's better than all of us? You remember him, right?
Well, it's hard to remember him. I see him. People just don't talk about him anymore.
Oh, well, he's just made himself even that much more irrelevant then, because on Friday, in a grandstanding move, he announced on Twitter that he was going to be leaving Twitter. Which I always find that. It's like, if you hate Twitter, just go.
It's not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure.
Thank you.
Just go.
He made a very dramatic exit. I'm leaving Twitter for the indefinite future. The reason is simple. This site is becoming more like Gab every day. It's a font of hatred, lies, and harassment. And while it's never been great, at least it had its uses. No longer, at least not for me.
Yeah, it's hatred, lies, and harassment. He is employed by the New York Times.
Yeah.
Okay, he writes for The Atlantic. Talk about harassment and hatred and lies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so arrogant.
Do not be uncharitable.
You
must be a Christian the way David French defines what a Christian is supposed to be. And you're not supposed to criticize. Unless you're David French and you spend your entire time criticizing fellow Christians, then it's okay.
Right,
but if you actually criticize David French because you disagree with something, well, it's just easier to understand that he's better than you. And honestly, I'm perplexed. Where am I going to go now to know and be reminded on a regular basis that David French is in fact better than me? Does he have a new place or something?
That's right.
Because I'm not subscribing to the New York Times.
No. Well,
there's that one. So you won't have David French kick around
anymore. Did he say
anymore.
He's going somewhere else?
Threads, probably, because that's
they're
better.
So nice over there.
It is better to have a one-sided conversation with no one disagreeing with you.
That's right.
That always makes it better.
That's right. Poor David.
So fragile. Bill Kristol wanted him to be president, you know. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle, remember her?
Another loathsome person.
Meghan Markle really wants to be on Kevin Costner's new Yellowstone spinoff. What?
It's not a spinoff.
It's called Horizon: An American Saga.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess so.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
she doesn't want. Oh, I thought she wanted to be on Yellowstone. No. Oh.
Meghan Markle is pulling out all the stops to land a role on Kevin Costner's Western epic. She and Prince Harry rubbed shoulders with the Yellowstone sensation weeks ago, having paid a visit to his lavish California estate for a 1805 charity fundraiser. Oh, 805 is the area code up in Santa Barbara, Montecito.
Yeah, there was
that's disgusting.
There was some video from this, and Kevin Costner could not have cared any less. The Markles were there. Yeah, it was rather embarrassing. She tried to, at one point, take the microphone from someone because she thought she was going to speak, and she wasn't going to speak. So, anyway, kind of embarrassing.
Meghan is using the unbelievable new success of her long-canceled series Suits, which is undergoing a revival on streaming, to convince Kevin she's the key to his future success. And he's listening, teased a source who is obviously either Meghan herself or her agent.
Meghan. Harry, go out and say this. I wrote it down for you.
It's 8:52. All right, Julie, that's a wrap. You have a good day.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow. Here comes Chris Plant. Christopher?
Here I come. And I loved your accuracy in media
Adam Guillette,
interview.
he's
Yeah,
great.
Adam, yeah. He's great. And that story is almost impossible to believe, until you take into account that we've become so fascist in this country and then say, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot we've become so fascist because of the left. It's amazing. And all the crazy anti-Semitic stuff. Once again, it continues to pace. In fact, I think they're dialing it up, aren't they?
It's getting worse.
Across the country and on college campuses, and they took over the Brooklyn Bridge yesterday and around the world.
And London.
If you're Jewish, you might be on